And now it's time for Guerilla Roundup. They'll let you know what happened overnight when things transpire whilst you sleep. Right there in the loop you keep.
Welcome to the Guerilla Roundup for day 2 of the second test from the Basin Reserve in Wellington, where, as Alan just said to me, it's a sense of deja vu all over again. The rain came in pretty much around the same time as it did yesterday. Just drizzle, but enough to stop the play. And play's just been called off, so we're in a situation where, notwithstanding the short day, yet again there's been plenty of action on the field. Again, I am joined by the lovely Al Hodge. Al, welcome.
Thank you, Jez. We've got to stop meeting like this.
I enjoy it. So, can you do your normal thing of a 60-second roundup of the day, which will probably go for a little longer than 60 seconds, but you know.
So we'll give it a go. So the day began with England at 3:15 for 3. Lots of anticipation about what Brook was going to do and Root was going to do. Probably the most disappointing part of the day was Brook departing so early. With the score on 3:23, it was very much England's intention from the way that they batted from then on that they were not going to hang around, that there was going to be some sort of declaration. It was just a matter of when. The declaration actually came after Root hit his 150. He was unbeaten on 153, but the score had moved on to 435 for 8. Bear in mind that this is still in the first session, that all of this is taking place. There was extra time today at the beginning of day 2, and there will be tomorrow as well. Tune in at 9:30 is probably the best time to tune in tomorrow. And New Zealand's collapse began in the very first over. Conway feathering behind to folks off. Anderson took the first 3 wickets. Conway, Williamson, and Young, 21 for 3. An echo of the England score, but that's about as far as the echoes went. The collapse continued unabated. Leach taking 3 wickets, 2 ill-judged reverse sweeps, but also 2 incredibly world-class catches from Ollie Pope close to the wicket. A return catch for Stuart Broad left New Zealand 7 down, and they end the day 138 for 7. A deficit of in the mid 290s.
297. It is here.
297 is the deficit, and England's stranglehold on this game, on this series, over their relationship with the New Zealand men's cricket team it's utterly dominant. The only thing that can stop them is the weather.
So that's an interesting question. Thank you for that summary. Given that we've lost quite a bit of time to the rain on both the first 2 days, and apparently the forecast for tomorrow is not fantastic, and that the breaks mean that the England bowlers get to have a good rest. Do you think there's a greater likelihood that England might enforce the follow-on?
I thought that if the lead had remained above 300, that I think they would have enforced the follow-on. Southey came in at the fall of the 7th wicket and threw the bat around, hit a couple of really towering sixes off Broad. I think if there's going to be time lost, I think that the speed at which the England team can score means I think that if let's say that New Zealand get the deficit down to 250 by the time that the innings comes to a close, England could bat again, even not see day 3 in its entirety and feel confident that they could not only put the runs together in a session or a session and a half, 2 sessions, but I think they feel confident now that they could bowl out the New Zealand team in the remaining time that they've got left. So I see it now, with a lead of 250, with like a predicted lead of 250, or at least in my mind, that Stokes would bat the 3rd innings rather than bowl it.
Yep. So let's go back to the England innings. One of the things you just sort of stated casually was Joe Root getting 153 not out. And in a way, it is sort of casual because it's such a common practice. We're used to it. There was an interesting tweet someone put out. All 10 of the last scorers over 150 for England have been by Yorkshiremen, but 7 of them have been from Joe Root. I mean, that really is quite extraordinary when you think about it.
We take brilliance for granted. There has been such a lot of pressure on his shoulders for ever such a long time. He has really, until the latest version of the England team, he has been the answer. He's known it. We've known it. The opponents have known it. And in spite of that pressure, he's succeeded, to the point where it was actually surprising that his average of 50 under the new regime seemed to stick out as a sore thumb of some sort of fall back to a more normal a more normal batting result. I think that he enjoyed himself a little bit in the first session. I think there was a 3 or 4 ramp shots that were played. I think that was a nice balance between what we might have wanted him to go back to and what he feels that he can do with maybe some of the more attacking demands that might be placed on his game. So in the end, it turns out to be this lovely example of what he can do. I think it's nice that he's in a position where he's not Atlas anymore.
Indeed. Well, it's interesting looking at the England scorecard. I mean, the highest score apart from Root and Brook was 27 from Stokes, but that's not a problem because nobody else needed to make runs. Harry Brook, 186 at a strike rate of 105.6. Joe Root, 153 at a strike rate of 68.3. Each of them playing the game that suits them perfectly. So,
but if you contrast that against the second innings in the first test,
yes,
where England took the game away with an innings of 300, where there were multiple contributions of 50, but no contributions of greater than 100, it means that there's an inherent flexibility in how the team can play, and let's bear in mind with this test match, both sides were 21 for 3,
yes.
which in a strange way leads you to the conclusion that the difference between the two sides is not necessarily about the strength of their batting, but about the strength and depth of bowling.
Yes, although, let me take that a step further. The person that we expect to be a performer for New Zealand in the form of Kane Williamson has proved to be anything but in this series. What are your views on him? He made 4. He was out to a fucking awful shot, to be honest. Caught behind, wafting at 1, even worse than, say, Crawley's dismissal in the first innings. The ball did a bit, but it was not played anywhere close to his body. Is he right in the head at the moment, do you think?
Kane Williamson is a world-class batsman. Innings against England isn't going to change that. He has been, quite rightly, for a long period of time, being considered to be a peer of Root and Smith and Coley. And whether it's a dip in form, whether it's linked to the relinquishing of the captaincy and kind of a searching for a new impetus for a new stage of his career, whether it's just the pressure of being the guy for that team, as you can see the creaks and groans of one generation start of coming to an end without really seeing the idea of what the next generation of New Zealand players is going to look like.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away the feeling that I had as an England fan of being really quite grateful of watching him walk back to the pavilion.
There's always the fear, isn't there?
Yeah, because the thing that we as outsiders really have no idea about is the small margins by which someone like Williamson and someone like Root can be seen to be scratching and searching for something, and then with no real change of idea and mindset is all of a sudden hoisting their bat after centuries have been scored.
Yep, absolutely.
So he's becalmed, but in my mind he remains dangerous.
Yeah, indeed. I want to touch on a couple of the bowlers. Matt Henry ended up with 4 for 100, probably the best of the New Zealand bowlers. Wagner didn't bowl a lot today, I'm pleased to say, because frankly his performance yesterday was pretty ordinary. But for England, so Jimmy Anderson has 10 overs, 3 for 37. At one stage he had 3 for 9, I think. And Broad is 1 for 50. Frankly, although Broad has got a lot of wickets, I still see James Anderson as head and shoulders above anybody else as a bowler at the moment, because he just bowls so consistently and so well that nobody is his peer at all.
Sometimes you can be so used to somebody's performance that you'll only find out how bright the star shone when you're all of a sudden exposed to the absence of its light. And there is a very real possibility that this is the last away test where we'll see Broad and Anderson bowl together.
We've been saying that for a while.
Yep, but you know, there's a sense of, you know, God knows we've all everyone falls into the trap of trying to make the Ashes more important, disproportionately more important than it needs to be in relation to a cricketing cycle. And this summer there's an Ashes at home, and if that goes well and Anderson bowls well, I could see that there is there could be a possibility that either one or the pair of them could turn around and go, enough. Yeah. And the only mistake, the biggest mistake that we could make with regards to Anderson is to believe that there is an Anderson 2.0. The next Jimmy Anderson is just around the corner. Wait, like a diamond in the rough.
Yes, like the next Alistair Cook.
Yeah, and we should, even as much as you appreciate him, and we all appreciate him. You don't have to be an England fan to appreciate him.
No,
I think we need to, and this is the same of talents right the way across the world, that you can turn around and go that we've been fortunate to have lived in an era in which that sort of performance over that sort of longevity has taken place. The consistency of it is terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Terrifying.
you're spot on in terms of the England fan. I mean, I am anything but an England fan, but Joe Root and Jimmy Anderson are undoubtedly two of my very favourite cricketers because of what
Yeah,
they do on the field. It's
you know,
just
and
superb.
it's there are players all over the world that it's difficult to like, but you have to appreciate their talent.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it's beautiful for us that we live in an era where we get to see so much cricket, where that talent can be put on display in all these formats of the game.
Indeed. Indeed, it is. Um, so we've come to a situation where at 138 for 7, we're due to start half an hour early tomorrow, which is, I think, 9:30 p.m. England time,
That's the
GMT.
time that we started today. Yeah.
So there's actually a chance for England fans to witness the final doings of the New Zealand first innings before they go to bed, if they're the sort who actually think nights are for sleeping, unlike some.
I'm going to explore that tomorrow.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
The next couple of days, I'm going to have no problem sleeping. I really am not. No, it has to be appointment viewing. We've got this flexibility about how the day might go. Weather might force some decisions which might not necessarily be straight out of the textbook, but that's what the last sort of 12, 15 months has provided English cricket fans and cricket fans in general. So tune in. You won't be disappointed by whatever you see.
Indeed.
It could be a fight back for the ages, but I doubt it. The Kiwis look beat, don't they, Jez? Mentally,
absolutely,
and emotionally, they look like a side that knows. They know what the last page of the script already is.
Yep, and they want to go.
And now it's a matter of how you get to that last page.
Yep.
The speed at which the rest of the play develops is entirely down to them.
Yep, that's correct. Couple of things. Our tweeter of the day. I was on tweets when Atif Nawaz tweeted us for the first time in quite a long time.
He's been a very busy man.
He has indeed. He does something we can't do. He does a 60-second report on Pakistan Super League games, which I would find almost impossible. So I'm hugely impressed by that. But it's lovely to have Atif back with us. I feel such affection for Atif after his performance as a Guerilla for so long, particularly in the Ireland Test, where his constant smile was there. So it's lovely to have him back. And he's said yes to an invite I'm actually not authorised to give for him to come on. Who's that weirdo? So I hope he does that. So lovely to have him here. And our Guerilla of the day actually wasn't on air, but he will be tomorrow. Grubby, Paul Howarth. He tweeted a series of tweets, which I think I should read. When he says the best thing to do when someone's struggling on tweets is not to send too many tweets. And the next 5 tweets came within 1 minute, I think. So he says, not too many tweets, everyone. Then keep the tweets to a minimum. Seriously, not so many tweets. Seriously, ease off on the tweets. And then definitely don't overburden the studio with tweets. And then just don't. Ration the tweets, if you will. So he was very busy cutting down on the tweets for us, and very effective.
As the Guerilla who stepped in order to be able to read those tweets, I found those to be absolutely hilarious.
Yes. So thank you for that, Grubby. A reminder that we'll be back with you tomorrow. Al's actually going to be asleep, so it's a question mark as to who will be joining me tomorrow night.
Mystery Guerilla. I love that.
Guerilla, yes. And a reminder to like and subscribe and to support us on Patreon, if you will, please. And another reminder that even though this test is scheduled to finish on Tuesday, we will be back on Wednesday with England's ODI team in Bangladesh, playing against Bangladesh. So we don't even get a break after the test match. We're straight back into it and flying immediately from Wellington to Bangladesh, which is pretty impressive. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you so much, Al. You may now go and get some sleep.
God bless you.
Cheers.
And now it's time for Guerilla, a roundup. They'll let you know what I have.